If you're trying to get in the IT field, you've probably discovered that there are a lot of different types of IT jobs that exist in the information technology field. And I know it can get very confusing when you're going through and looking at these endless list of different job titles. And you're probably wondering, well, what's the difference between all of these? And let's just be honest here. And I've talked about this before. Job titles are ridiculous. They make no sense. They're stupid, and when it comes down to it, you're gonna find that you're gonna see many job titles that are completely different from one another are actually the same exact type of job. And it's really skewed how the industry labels these different job titles. From organization to organization, the same job title can mean different things, and other job titles can mean the same thing. So let's take a look at the different types of IT jobs in 2020 that you guys are gonna find, and let's break them down just a little bit. And I say just a little bit because in future videos, we're gonna take a lot of these different job titles that we talk about in this video and break them down individually so you guys can understand what the different types of jobs are in this field. If you're looking to learn some of the skills that it takes to work in IT and obtain some of these job titles that we talk about in this video, make sure you guys check out IT Pro TV. The link is in the description below. They are my favorite online training provider, and they have hundreds, if not thousands of courses at this point that really break down all of the skills that it takes to work in IT, and of course they cover many of the different certifications. So make sure you guys check them out. Use the coupon code ITCQ30 because it'll save you 30% off of your subscription. Let's go. Before I jump into these types of IT jobs, I need to give credit to a few different websites that we utilized to pull some of these different titles. So we have Zeddy, who has a very large list of different types of IT jobs, along with thebalancecareers.com. We got a lot of the information from this website right here, and then we kind of move over to Cyber Magazine because we're going to reference this webpage as well. But let's jump to this OneNote because this contains the list that I consolidated with titles that make the most sense or the ones that you might see the most often. I should also mention that this list does not contain every single job title in IT because it would be just an endless list at this point because, like we said, it's ridiculous. So let's jump into this list and start with cloud computing. You may see job titles under cloud architect, cloud consultant, cloud developer, cloud software and network engineer, cloud system administrator, and cloud system engineer. Of course, there could be more. There definitely is more, but this kind of goes within the cloud world. You're going to find cloud architects who develop a cloud infrastructure at a very large level. An architect is really kind of that top tier within any type of job title. If you see architect, you know that that's leaning right towards the top tier of jobs within that respected area of the field. And as I said before, we're gonna break down some of these job titles individually. We're not gonna talk about all of the job titles because some of them can be consolidated with each other, but we will talk about these more specifically to give you a better idea of what they're doing. For these titles right here, we can safely assume that you need to have some type of cloud knowledge to get a job title with one of these. The next thing we're gonna talk about is computer network specialists. Now, this was a title that the balancecareers.com used, and we just kind of went with it because it makes a little bit of sense. But we have network architect, again, very top level, systems analyst, systems manager, IT analyst, IT coordinator, network administrator, network architect, network and computer systems administrator, network engineer, network systems administrator, senior network architect, senior network engineer, and senior network system administrator, and telecommunication specialist. This is going to be a long video, I imagine, and we just got started. But what I want to talk about here is senior. Now, when you see senior, that actually goes above any type of other architect type of position. So keep that in mind. You have your level 1, you have your level 2, so you might have a junior level, you might have a senior level. The more that it goes up that list, obviously, the more responsibilities that job title may have, more money you could make with that job title. So just keep that in mind. But as far as these job titles goes, these are going to be things that you see every single day that you're looking for jobs. Again, we will break these down individually in future videos. Now we have computer support specialists. So we have customer support administrator, customer support specialist, desktop support manager, desktop support specialist, help desk technician, IT support manager, IT support specialist, IT systems administrator, senior support specialist, senior systems administrator, support specialist, systems administrator, and technical specialist. So another thing that I want to point out here is the term administrator. Now that term specifically would be at a more higher level. Now you see that they also have senior systems administrator and a just systems administrator. So within different organizations, you are going to have different tiers of system administrators. You might just have a level 1 system administrator, and then you might have a senior systems administrator. Obviously, when you put the word senior within a title, it should automatically mean more responsibilities, more money, and the level 1 person is going to go to the senior person with any issues that a level 1 position can't handle or is confused about. So that's one thing that I also wanted to break down here. And of course, you have your help desk technician, help desk specialist, right? Those are very interchangeable. Those can mean really the exact same thing depending on the organization. Those are the types of things you have to keep in mind. And again, as we break down these titles even further and start to consolidate them some, this will all make a lot of sense. The purpose of this video is just to give you an idea on the different types of job titles that you're going to see within the field. Now moving on to database administrator, we have data center support specialist, data quality manager, database administrator, and senior database administrator. Now the same things we said before can be applied to the database types of job titles. You have administrator and then you have a senior administrator. So you know that they have tiered jobs within the database world. Now moving on to information technology analyst, you have application support analyst, senior systems analyst, system analyst, and systems designer. Now I do want to point out a specific about these information technology analyst job titles. This has application support, senior systems analyst, and just a regular systems analyst, but a systems analyst is typically in charge of systems within an organization. Now, you may have an IT department that handles much of the infrastructure in an environment, but you might also have some type of analysts that support the specific applications that are being used in that environment. So they might be SMEs. A SME is a subject matter expert. These subject matter experts really dive deep into specific applications. I can reference my past job working in a hospital where we had systems analysts that took care of our EMR, which is our electronic medical record systems. They only worked within those systems. So while they were part of our IT department, our IT team, they didn't handle any infrastructure. They did no networking. They did no types of administration within our Windows-based systems, and they only focused on EMR systems. And you're going to find in many other organizations, they have systems analysts that are specifically in charge of specific applications. Now moving on to information technology leadership, you have your chief information officer, your CIO, your chief technology officer or your CTO, director of technology, IT director, IT manager, management information systems director. These are just some different job titles that you are going to see when it comes to leadership. Now, keep in mind, many of these positions are going to require years of experience, and some organizations actually require that anybody who is management and above have an associate's or a bachelor's degree. Sometimes you're going to find that those are very hard requirements. So if you are leaning towards being in some type of leadership position within IT, keep in mind that most of the time a degree is required. Now, yes, there are some leadership positions that don't care whether you have a degree or not. Those are few and far between, to be honest with you guys. So again, just keep this all in mind. Now we have information security specialist. I left this in here because it was kind of funny when I looked at it, because these are the only titles that this website had put on there, which is information security, security specialist, senior security specialist, which doesn't make sense. That's why I put on here, check favorites for this one, because we are going to reference Cyber Magazine here, and you guys are gonna see, here are 50, I'm not gonna talk about each and every one of these. There are 50 different job titles just specifically in the cybersecurity area within IT. You have your application security administrator, artificial intelligence security specialist, blockchain developer, bug bounty hunter, cybersecurity scrum master. You have your chief information security officer. You have a data privacy officer. You guys can go through this list. The link's in the description below and get an idea of all the different types of job titles within cybersecurity. Again, we will break down many of these different job titles, and we're actually going to have guests on that hold some of these job titles. They can talk about specifics that they do on a day-to-day basis. So let's jump back and start talking about software application developer. This is going to be a big list. There's even more, honestly, I feel like, when it comes to software and application development. But you have your application developer, applications engineer, associates developer, computer programmer, developer, Java developer, junior software engineer, .NET developer, programmer, programmer analyst, senior applications engineer, senior programmer analyst, senior. I'm not going to go through the rest of these guys. I'm not. I can't do it. I can't do it. You guys can read, follow along with me. These are all, not all, most of the job titles that you're going to see for any type of developer. Again, the hierarchy stands within application development as well. You have your senior titles, you have your architect titles, your engineer titles. It typically falls like this: administrator, engineer, architect. So administrator, engineer, architect. That's typically how you're going to see that hierarchy go. So in the last one here, we have web developer, which much of these titles can be applied to under software application development. But let's jump into this one. We have front-end developer, senior web administrator, senior web developer, web administrator, web developer, webmaster. These are some of the different titles that you would find within any type of web development positions. Now again, some of these can actually be interchangeable within software and application development depending on the organization. So you have to keep that in mind. Now, one thing I want to point out is the hierarchy within job titles. I point some of these out as we're going through this video, but I also think it's really important just to bring this up. You're going to find that there are different levels of positions within IT. You're going to have your level 1 positions, you might have level 2, level 3 positions, you might have junior positions and senior positions, and then of course you're going to have just regular old positions. Now, let me break this down so you guys understand. You might have help desk level 1, help desk level 2, help desk level 3. Then you might have a junior systems administrator, a senior systems administrator, and then after administrator, you might have an engineer position. So you could have a systems engineer or a senior systems engineer. And then after engineer comes architect. The architect is typically the top of the hierarchy before you start getting into management. So you might have a systems architect as well. So please keep that in mind as you see some of these different job titles posted places, that there are these different levels that exist. And even further, let me mention the fact that you might see titles of jobs that are specifically listed as engineer, and it may not be an actual engineer type of position. I've seen this many, many times, and this is why we say that job titles are stupid in IT, because you could have a systems engineer, which by the sounds of it could mean that you are above a systems administrator sometimes. Other organizations, a systems engineer could be very equivalent to somebody who works at help desk or a level 1 type of position. It's really skewed, again, how these job titles are labeled. It drives me absolutely insane. So as we get into further videos where we break these down, it'll all start to make a little more sense. But I hope just going through this video today, you guys have a maybe better understanding of the different types of jobs that exist in the IT field. And I hope you look forward to future videos where we break these down.